Good day, everyone. Welcome back to a new phase of Alma's Vlogs, which is a session with Almas. My name is Rahma Mustapha Goni, and today I'm here in the studio with a special guest, who is our famous Mr. Folajaiye Kareem. You're welcome. Can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Okay, so my name is Folajaiye Kareem. I'm a clinical psychologist and a mental health advocate. I have a private practice here in Abuja, and also I'm a managing partner at Mumtaz Mind and Wellness Studio, Gwarimpa, Abuja.
So, okay, today we will be talking on psychology, and the topic is going to be assertiveness training. So this is going to be a 3-part series where we'll be talking on passiveness, aggressiveness, and assertiveness in each of the episodes. So do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook, and also Instagram as it appears on the screen. Another important thing is we should know that it's very important for us to take care of our mental health as much as we take care of our physiological or physical health. And it's not shameful for you to seek help or support whenever you feel it's necessary. So, Mr. Fola, you know, they normally say there are no two people who are the same. But I think if a group of people behave in the same way, maybe we can categorize them together. So what do you think about that?
Well, it depends on the circumstance or on the individual himself or herself. What you have described is called personality difference, and we have different personality types. According to different theories in psychology, we have, there is one that I particularly find that harmonizes the kind of philosophy that I believe in. Okay. Which talks about 5 different personality types. People who are open to experience, people who are what we call conscientious, that is, they are more spontaneous in their actions and their attributes. People who are extroverted or introverted, people who have what we call agreeable personality, and then some people who are also neurotic. Different theories suggest that people have different personality types, which are basically unique traits or attributes that are peculiar to a person. Okay, so does that mean, due to that, you can now group people into being passive, aggressive, or assertive? Yes, because people have different personality types, they are skewed in a way to act and verbalize or behave in a way that may make them aggressive, make them appear aggressive in their communication, assertive, or passive. And that's why it's really important to talk about these differences, because it has capacity to impede on our relationships with people in general. Okay, so as I mentioned, in this episode, we'll be talking about passiveness or passivity. So maybe people know about this word, but they do not know the psychological aspect of it. So can you tell us what is passiveness, or what does it mean for a person to be passive? Okay, so when we say someone is passive, or what passivity or passiveness is, it basically means when we have thoughts, ideas or behaviors that show or put down our abilities, makes us downplay our person, our self, our esteem in the eyes of people. We may not know that when we act in that way, it reduces our own, or the perception of our worth in the eyes of other people. But I think the consequences, because of such action or such communication style, because it's also a communication style, the consequence will reveal that it's a passive approach. Okay, so now based on your explanation, we understand what passivity looks like. But so some people fall in that category, but they don't even know that they're being passive. Maybe they are non-expressive, they cannot tell you about their feelings, you know. So what are the characteristics of a person who is passive? For characteristics of people who are passive, we could have, generally for communication styles, we know that communication can be verbal and non-verbal. So in that light too, communication in this sense, passive communication or passive attributes may be verbal, may have verbal characteristics and non-verbal. So some verbal characteristics could be maybe when somebody is talking and the person is always trying to not sound like they are trying to enforce their ideas, and then they are like, okay, you know, or they try to keep quiet when they are supposed to express whatever they have to say. I mean, some people will think it's being humble or not trying to be aggressive, but the truth is, when we don't clearly and calmly express ourselves as human beings, we tend to not get our needs met. So other characteristics that are non-verbal may include slouching, you know, putting your head down, or covering your mouth when you are talking. This is mostly seen in a lot of our in the context, northern women. It's normally going to look like I like the thing while I don't even like it. Maybe my actions is not going to, you know, match with my verbal. And that's where the disparity now comes in, because even though you are trying to say you want something, because you are communicating it in a way that is passive, people may downplay that thing that you want. They may disregard it and disrespect what you want.
Now, based on your explanation, I don't think being passive is something good. So, you know, as a result of that, do you think there is a price you pay for being passive? And then, on the other hand, is there any goodness that is attached for a person who is being passive?
Well, there are prices to pay actually for being passive. What happens is when somebody is passive, if you are passive for too long, you must have allowed your esteem to be trampled upon so much that at a point you begin to feel stress, anxiety, and sometimes you might even feel depressed as a result of not allowing your needs to be met. And because of this, a lot of times, most people, because they have bottled up their emotions for so long, they begin to lash out, right? They can, you know, just come out and now act aggressive. So the thing that they've been avoiding from the beginning now also comes to play, just because they have been passive for too long.
You will now become a shadow of yourself.
Something of that nature.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes people stay in an unhealthy marriage, relationship, or sometimes even interaction with family members or even friends, and they think being passive is humility or being patient. So how can people differentiate between these two?
You see, patience, humility, and passivity are two separate things. You can be patient and humble, and yet clearly and calmly express your ideas, which is what I would talk more about maybe when we talk about assertiveness. But when you don't have the capacity to express your emotions and your, you know, your thoughts, your innermost desires, what happens is you will not be able to get your needs met, as we have said earlier. And it is quite different from being humble. You know, you can be humble and still get your needs met. But when you are passive, more often than not, people will trample upon your own ideas and you cannot, you know, get your needs met.
Now that we know what passiveness means, so can you give us some examples of a person who is passive? You know, maybe if I look at this person or the way he talks or the way he reacts, you know, I will say, this person is passive.
Yes, there are examples that I can think of off the top of my head. I know of a case that I handled recently of a woman who has been a victim of domestic violence. You know, sometimes domestic violence may not just be battering. When the person is being neglected, or maybe the person is verbally abused. And that's what really happens when domestic violence is in play. So this lady had been neglected for so long. And it got to a period where, because she had not been assertive, she had been passive, that's the word. Because she's been passive about every time, you know, when they say, sit here, she sits there, you know. Don't take the car out. Today I'm seizing the car key for a week, you know. These are the things that her husband had subjected her to. And she was passive for too long about it. You know what happened? A particular day came and she just burst out. She just lashed out on the husband.
That's the problem.
he was like, where did this behavior come from? You know, so it's important that when you are in a situation, allow your actions be consistent with the character that you put out in order to express yourself, you know, well.
Okay, that reminds me, you talked about self-esteem. And then I remember a friend of mine contacted me one day and she was saying she met this person who she was about to get married to. And whenever they go out or they go to public place, this person now says to her, people are staring at them because they think maybe he's lucky to get someone like her, you know? I think he's maybe, you know, under the pressure of losing self-esteem, and he feels every other person is better than him. And, you know, sometimes he normally says, you know, he normally addresses her in a mean way. You know, they normally treat you in a way that you will feel low, so that maybe you will become in the same level with them, or that they will feel that they're above you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a consequence. It's almost like a consequence of being passive, because you don't have you've not mustered up the courage to express yourself.
Okay.
More often than not, you want people to come down to that level that you're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I would like to add an Islamic perspective to this. You know, it is mentioned in different places in the Quran where Allah says, okay, you should be patient for sabrun jameel. You know, He talks about beautiful patience. But the thing is, people do not know that we have active patience and we have passive patience. The healthy one is the active patience, where you take advantage of every plan or step, and then, you know, you stand up for yourself and, you know, handle every situation very well without any person running over you.